Well, here we are again. We are with Brian Marin today.
Hi.
Hey guys.
He does
Thanks
all
for having me.
things roofs. Yeah, thanks for being here. I wanted to introduce him a little bit. I've known Brian for 8 to 10 years. I don't really know at this point. Married to a good friend of mine. She and I were in a school together. Convinced her to move down to Texas, and the rest is history. So I'll let him tell you a little bit more about that. But he has been in the roofing industry how many years now?
For 10 years. It'll be 10
For
years
10
in
years.
March.
So
A decade.
an expert. He has put in his time and his hours. Just a phenomenal guy. So I'm so excited that you're going to be here sharing your knowledge, but also just your integrity with everyone. Like, I just love who you are. So tell us about yourself.
Thanks, Shelby. Well, first and foremost, Betty, Shelby, thank you so much for including me in this. It's an honor.
Absolutely.
Like you said, you introduced me to my beautiful Yankee girl.
Wait,
I
so
basically-
you were a matchmaker.
Oh,
Yes.
Is that what
kind of.
happened?
100%. I've done that with 3 other people too. They're married. I'm
No,
saying
she's good
side
at
business,
that.
side
You
hustle.
are good at that. Yeah.
Yeah, so then they were,
I don't know if he agrees with that.
I don't know. It kind of took our whole congregation.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, so everybody like cornered her. It's like, just give her a chance.
So there was multiple voices
There was a
speaking
lot
into
of
this
effort
choice. Yeah.
that
Yes.
went into this
I love it.
union.
But we do need to give Shelby the credit because she did get her from California,
I did.
right?
That's massive.
Right?
Absolutely.
I think I played the biggest role.
Oh, absolutely. Because she wouldn't be here without you, right?
Love it.
And what got you into roofing? Like, how
Yeah.
did you get into this industry?
Yeah, well, it just happened. Honestly,
It does.
I don't know any roofer in this industry that just set out to be a roofer. It just happens. I come from the service industry, restaurants, bars, stuff like that. Little cliff note, I was an alcoholic, I was a druggie, just everything was just not going right. I sobered up and I had to get out of that industry. So I was like, what can I do? So I opened up a fish store, right? So I sold fish, coral, aquarium, stuff like that. It was a passion of mine, but there was no money in it. Long story short, I lost everything about a year and a half into it after getting a public store. And one of my buddies, the same guy, Jonathan, that invited me to the Men's Summit,
Okay.
he told me to come work with him and sell some roofs. And I had no clue what I was doing.
Wow.
But now you do.
But
Now
now
I
you
do.
do. Now you got.
Now
now
I
you've
do.
seen some.
We all have to
roofs.
start
Yes,
somewhere.
That's
We all
right.
have to start somewhere.
I started off in a little clown car. That's what Kim calls it.
Wow.
2008 Scion hatchback, right? I've actually got a photo on my wall right by my desk, and I've got 6 bundles of shingles in it. The car's like this, right?
wow.
I got my ladder sticking out. I've got drip edge hanging
Like
out
a
the
little
window.
smart car. That's like,
Small
I think
beginnings.
I can. I think I can.
It's great. And
Small
now,
beginnings.
everybody that says, "Oh, I need a big jacked up truck to be a roofer," I'm like, "No, you need to earn it."
You need to own it. Earn it.
love that.
Start somewhere. Yeah.
That's right.
So, what are some of the top questions that you get asked as a roofer?
Yeah. So, honestly, who's the best insurance company? That's
Who is the
Who is
best
the best
insurance
insurance
company?
company?
well,
Or several top ones, maybe.
So I have seen this industry change 4 times.
Wow. Yeah.
It's been crazy the past decade. You used to have State Farm, which is the best of the best, right? Now I am actually looking for a sticker to put on my trash can because they're absolute garbage.
Wow. This has been a paid ad for
Yeah, we're going deep here. Is that okay?
No,
Do we
yeah.
have freedom
So
to do
State
that?
Farm,
Yeah.
State
Okay.
Farm went from the best of the best to
State Farm is struggling. is
garbage.
They are.
what I'm hearing.
Yeah, so Jake, he is not a good neighbor whatsoever.
Oh no.
Oh.
Unfortunately, there's no good insurance company,
Oh.
right? They're all kind of clustered there.
Yeah.
I like to tell homeowners this. let's talk about USAA. Do y'all know about USAA?
Yeah.
So USAA used to be just for servicemen, right? Veterans.
Yeah.
Anybody that was in service was allowed to get USAA. About 15 years or so ago, they began to extend it to children of veterans, right?
Okay.
Okay. Then about 10 years ago, they extended it to anybody in the family. Today, they're just like, hey, if there's anybody in your family that have served in the past 50 years, we want you to buy our policies. Right?
Interesting.
Well, whenever you're casting that big of a net, do you believe that you're going to care about that one? Or are you just worried about bringing in the revenue instead of serving the people that you tell them that you're going to serve?
Yeah.
Right? Now, that's my own theory, but I've got a lot of claims to back it up.
Yeah, it's probably a pretty solid theory.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so top question is, who's the best insurance company? Let's say, I work with buyers all the time that we just got it inspected, and I got the inspection report, and sure enough, it looks like doomsday. And I end up calling a roofer. Hey, can you hop on the roof? Let me know your thoughts. Are you able to determine this is insurable, this is not insurable? Can you tell? I'm sure you can, but I don't even know. I'm not a roofer. I tell people this.
Right.
I'm not a roofer, but I know a guy.
Yep.
But how old is the shingle? What, I'm sure there's so many different nuances to this, but if you're looking at an inspection report, you go hop up on a roof, are you able to help the process through of like, yes, I think you should file a claim, or, we could probably just repair this. I don't know that they're going to actually deem this uninsurable. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yeah. So first and foremost, I'm not a public adjuster, right?
Yeah.
So I can't talk about go too detailed into that kind of stuff, right? But what I can do is 100%, I can check out the roof and I can say, hey, it is past the lifespan, or you have so much damage on your roof that I don't believe that you're going to be able to get an insurance carrier to open up a policy for you. Right? So you have 3 options. Every homeowner has 3 options: to do nothing, to do a repair, or to file a claim. Right?
Yeah.
Well, they have all the power.
Right.
Because it's their home.
Yeah. And oftentimes when I'm representing the buyer, we're under option, we get it inspected, the roofer says, hey, this thing's no bueno. We can go back to the seller and say, hey, the buyer, this is problematic. A buyer can't buy a house that the bank is not going to insure this because the roof is not insurable.
Absolutely.
So I try to get the sellers to file a claim, and then they are just out there deductible. And but we have seen with the industry, I've been in real estate over 10 years, and I've seen similar changes within roofing, because it used to be just a lot easier on it with an insurance claim.
I would even say, what's the turnaround time at that? Thinking of like closing 30 to 45 days, things like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you
I'm
tell
sure they're
them
not
you're
in
part
that
of a
anymore.
real estate transaction, you have to say to the insurance person, we're closing on this day. This is part of a real estate transaction. They are supposed to expedite the process. And a roofer, you can get a new roof on in how long?
It takes us 1 day.
1 day.
1 day.
You just got to
from
have
start to
clear,
finish.
sunny skies, right?
That's
You
right.
don't-
That's right.
you
No
don't need
precipitation.
those
So
thunderstorms.
turnaround time can be quick.
Yeah.
It can.
On the roofing end.
Yeah.
Maybe not as much on the insurance.
Insurance end.
But the
Right.
roofing end, yes.
Yeah, and let's dive into that real quick.
Yeah.
So a roofing system's like a car,
Okay.
right? So you've got your tires, you've got your wheels, right? But then you've got your engine, your transmission, you've got your doors, you've got your seats inside, you've got everything, right? Let's say that you go out and you wreck your car, right? And I drive a Chevy Silverado. So let's just use my truck, for example. If I go out and wreck my truck and my front end is damaged, and I take it down to my body shop, and my insurance company says, hey, we're going to go ahead and replace your front end. We're going to fix it, but we're going to slap an F-150 on there because it'll save us money, and it'll be fine. We'll just paint it, and everything will be fine. Well, an F-150 and a Chevy Silverado, they're not the same,
Not
right?
apples to apples.
Not at all. That's the same thing on roofs,
Interesting.
right? So whenever you get into really the nitty gritty of things, a lot of roofers today, they are still only worried about the shingles and the felt. If you have a roofer that only cares about the shingles and the felt, literally your turnaround time could be 10 days, hands down.
So what are the other components besides shingles and felt that?
Yeah, because I
Great
don't know
question.
these
I know.
components.
Great question.
Curious.
Yes. So your flashings,
Okay.
your vents, right? So let's talk about flashings, right? That's all of your metal around your chimney, maybe around your sidewall where you have step flashing, and then you might have like siding there. Well, that's actually tucked up behind the siding and it's fastened down to the roof deck. Well, each course of shingle is going to be right on top of that flashing. So in order to remove the shingles and the felt as prescribed by the insurance company, obviously the flashing is going to come up and it's going to get damaged.
Right.
10 out of 10 times I have seen an adjuster, and it doesn't matter who the insurance carrier is, they will argue and they will put it in writing. Most roofers just reuse the flashing. Then we'll go back on building code and manufacturer installation requirements or instructions, and it'll specify new roof, new vents, new roof, new flashing.
Interesting.
It's a whole roofing
So
system.
there's a conflict there, it looks like.
There's a major conflict.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, once we get into the flashing, well, we can't do like a little Jedi mind trick here, right? Like we can't just move flashing through an object.
Yeah.
We have to remove the siding.
Yeah.
Do you think
You
that?
gotta peel all the layers back.
That's right. Yeah, we're peeling an onion,
Yeah.
right? Or we're making an omelet, right? You got to break
Yeah.
some eggs here.
Yeah.
Can we maybe like a cake, layer cake?
Okay.
Okay, great.
Okay, awesome.
I need to bring something cheery in
As
it.
long as it's chocolate.
Yes.
Yes,
I love it.
with a big old glass of milk. But yeah, there is all these different components that you really got to make sure that your contractor is actually doing. Because if you're just looking, what's my turnaround time for real estate transactions, right? That is so paramount to the closing,
Yeah.
right? And most of us roofers, we know that, right?
Yeah.
So what we can do is we can say, okay, we're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to take as many photos and documentations as possible.
Yeah.
What we need for you, seller, even though you are now at your new residence, please take care of us,
Yeah.
right? Because this is your claim, not my claim.
Right.
It's your home, not my home. I say this all the time, I'm just a dumb roofer, right?
Not dumb.
And I'm going to give you, all of the specifications. I'm going to give you all the building codes and stuff like that. But these insurance companies, they don't want to talk to me.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so quick question. Let's say you're going to go hop on a roof for a real estate agent or just, someone that's lived there for years and they're like curious. Do you pull storm reports before you go out? Are you looking at like, oh, there was a hailstorm in this particular neighborhood 3 months ago? Or do you look at stuff like that when you're going to go?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So one unique about us is that we only service 15 miles from North Ocean Hills.
Okay.
That is very unique in our
So
industry.
you keep it really concentrated on the
Very
storm.
concentrated.
Yeah. All right.
So I know exactly what street got hit.
Mm.
I can tell you that in North Ocean Hills and Watauga, you have till April 2nd to file a claim, for last year's hailstorm.
Wow.
Right?
Good
Hearst.
information to know.
In Hearst, right? In Bedford, you have until March 2nd.
Okay.
Okay?
Interesting.
So it's coming up pretty quick.
Yeah.
I love that. I would love to go back to how long it takes from the moment you realize I need to replace this roof to it potentially getting done. If you're, of course, going through insurance. And I don't care if you're going through a sale of your house or like you were just saying, you've lived there for years and realized you just need to replace your roof. Is there a way to kind of put a general number on that for people?
Absolutely. Well, let's back up a little bit. Pre-COVID, right? Like we know the whole world changed. So did this process. Pre-COVID, I would spend roughly 20, maybe 40 hours on a really difficult claim, on that claim, right? Today, it's about 180 hours.
That's insanity. Wow.
It is.
That's, yeah.
Is that
is.
behind the
Excessive.
scenes work? When you're saying the 180 hours, is that behind the scenes work or is that actually having you or your guys up on the roof getting it done as well? Like, is that everything encompassed?
That is everything encompassed. So the actual
Okay.
project would take roughly 18, maybe 20 hours, depending on like a roof, gutters, window screens, garage door, right? Coordinating all that stuff. The other 140, 160 hours is truly writing emails, going back and forth,
Wow, you never knew you were going to have to be administrator and a
Yeah.
negotiator.
And probably delays
we
in
can't
materials.
negotiate, right? Let's be clear about that.
Oh my goodness.
I'm
Yes.
talking about maybe being advocate, though,
Yeah.
for the owner with the insurance companies, things like that. Like, when I say the term negotiate, I'm not even saying price necessarily, but understanding the process and helping the homeowner walk through that well, because you have
Absolutely.
the knowledge that they don't.
Absolutely. So in our industry, we have to be really careful because there is a law that's called the UPPA law. It's the Unlicensed Practice of Public Adjusting. So we can't negotiate with an insurance carrier. We've got to treat it like retail. And, how you go into some car dealerships and they say, hey, no haggle price. Well, that's what roofs are supposed to be. I have two different authorities above me. That's the building official and the manufacturer. If they tell me that I have to do something, just like the flashing we were talking about, right? If they tell me I have to change it out and an insurance adjuster says no, I've got 10 other roofers that will just reuse that flashing. Where does that put the homeowner?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I love about you, and I've seen as you've built your business too. With you do everything with integrity, which I love, because even if that means a little bit more out of pocket or maybe a little bit longer process, like you're getting quality work.
Yeah.
You can. I would much rather have the quality work at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know as an agent, it's important for me too. I don't even trust the solars to get their roofer. I'm like, that's fine. Let's get your opinion. But I also want to get my guy out there because I want to make sure that it's not somebody that's just going to cut corners for the, because of cost and because it's convenient. But it's like, hey, this is important. And I did want to ask you this question, like, what does it cost? Let's say you're a seller who's lived in your home forever, or you're in the middle of a real estate transaction, doesn't matter. What's the cost of replacing a roof? Let's say you have an insurance company, and I know deductibles are what, like 2% now?
2%.
I think it used to be 1%.
2% of what?
Of the value of the home,
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you have a $500,000 house, your deductible on a roof is $10,000.
$10,000.
Okay. And then you threw out the number 18 or 20. So how much does it cost? I mean, I know there's a lot that goes into it. Lots of material, like you're saying, garage or screens, there's gutters, there's sheds, there's lots of things, lots of components. But how much would it cost? And then how much, I guess it is based on the 2% deductible, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So our average job is $20,000.
Okay.
Right? There's some that's 12, there's some there's 48.
Wow.
It kind of all depends.
Like the quality of the shingles you get.
Probably size of house.
It's basically the size of the house, because today's age, most everybody has an architectural shingle, right? So either you're talking about an architectural shingle or you're talking about an impact resistant shingle. Of course, your impact resistant shingle is going to cost more money, right? But we actually got to send it off to a lab. We got to figure out all of that stuff because the carriers, they're just not going to come out and say you have a premium shingle, right? We actually have to prove it. But it all kind of depends on the scope.
Yeah.
How many facets are there? What's the linear foot of the ridge starter? I know that's a lot of technical stuff.
Linear foot of the ridge.
Right. So,
Things that I don't ever want to know.
Exactly.
Other than like, sure, here's the check.
yeah. And that's one thing that we do is that we'll actually sit down with the homeowner and I've got a roof in a bag, right? And I will literally pull out every component.
Mary
and
Poppins.
say, absolutely. Absolutely.
The linear ridge.
And I'll say,
Spoonful of sugar. Oh,
that's
gosh.
greatness. Yeah. So I'll say, hey, this is your starter. This is your felt. This is your flashing.
Yeah. This is what's going to be going
Absolutely.
on there. Yeah.
And they actually get to hold it.
Wow.
Right? So that way, on the day of the install, whenever the materials are delivered, because we don't get materials delivered before, the day of the install, they're able to walk out there in the driveway and say, oh, Brian told me about this.
Yeah.
I know exactly what this is.
Nice.
I love that.
And then one other thing that's just popping in my head right now, how often should you get your roof looked at? Because I know it's something that, I'm a homeowner. I have a couple of rental properties, and a lot of times you don't know you have a problem until there's a leak. And then speaking to what you were saying earlier, where you know that April 2nd is the last day to file a claim, well, oftentimes you can't get it as covered under insurance because there is a lifespan on when that hailstorm hit and to X date where you can file a claim. So how often should you be evaluating your roof? Because I know for me, and what I hear often is it's like, oh, well, it's leaking right now, so now we have a problem. And I think probably if you're a little more proactive, then you could maybe beat some of this to the punch. So how often do you recommend having like a roof inspection done?
Absolutely. I love that question. Because we're all about maintenance, right?
Yeah.
If you maintain something just like your vehicle, it's going to last longer, right?
Yeah.
So every 6 months, you need to have somebody up on your roof,
Okay.
somebody that you trust. They need to be taking lots of photos. In our standard operating procedure, we take a minimum of 100 photos.
Oh.
We have a 22-point checklist that we go through. We're taking pictures of fasteners, which is your nails, right? We're doing everything we can to show that, like, let's say today, February 9th, we get on top of a roof and we show that there's 0 damage. But then there's a hailstorm that comes through on March 6th. But the insurance carrier says all that is prior existing or old damage.
Now you have proof.
Well, now we can go back inside of our little app
Yeah.
and say it's time stamped.
Right.
This is what the roof looked on February 9th.
And how much is a roof inspection?
We do complimentary.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So you just gotta put a little reminder in your calendar.
Yeah.
Set
That's
an
it.
alarm.
I love that. I didn't even
every
think
6
about
months.
the preventative. I thought of the maintenance side for sure. But even having the proof that you might need to take to the insurance company so that they can't deny a claim. Is there ever a situation where you've seen it makes more sense to just pay out of pocket than it does to file through insurance?
Not in North Texas.
Okay.
This is why our homeowners insurance is so expensive,
Yeah.
is because we have hail and wind like
Yep.
no other.
Absolutely.
We don't have earthquakes, which is terrifying.
I've been in a few.
But
They're kind of fun.
we have wind and hail and
We get the
tornadoes.
little ripples from Oklahoma every
yeah,
now and
every
then.
once in a while. We're like,
You know?
no, we're good.
No, yeah.
We're fine.
Yeah. So yeah, you wouldn't recommend trying to go out of pocket because an insurance company is most likely going to at least, even though you might have a high deductible, it's going to be half.
And is it hail and wind here that
Yes.
causes turnover so often?
Well, honestly, it's the ventilation and the maintenance,
Okay.
right?
Ventilation.
So your ventilation, all of your vents. So you've got an intake coming up through your soffits, right? And so you got your fascia, and that's all outside, like you can see it right there. So you've got air that goes inside and it pushes out from the attic, right? So I love this analogy. Like, we all love going to the beach, swimming in the pools, stuff like that, right? But what happens if you spend 9 hours out in the sun?
You
get sunburned.
baked.
We get baked.
Oh, and pruny.
Right?
You get pruny if you're in the water.
If you're staying in the water.
In the water, yeah. In the water, just outside.
I used to teach swimming lessons, so I have PTSD from the prunes on my fingers.
That's
Anyways,
a real problem, though.
Yes.
It is.
I probably
truly
messed up
is.
your analogy,
No,
didn't
it's
I?
okay. It's okay. So we're talking about the sun.
We're getting baked.
Okay, getting baked, getting tan.
Yes. And some of us, burn a lot better than others, right? Okay. Like, that's me, right?
You're a burner.
Yes. I turn red. Okay.
Does it later tan, or do you just stay?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
Oh, no.
So sorry.
Kim will go out in the sun and she will be dark in 10 minutes.
I can attest to
That's
this.
the kind of...
Yes.
Your wife has a special ability to tan very
Yes.
quickly.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so go back to we
I'm so
rabbit trail.
sorry.
No, I did it. I was just pruning. Sorry, go ahead.
So whenever we're outside in the sun, right, and we get really bad sunburn, what happens? We get blisters, right? Well, the reason why is because all of that heat, it has to escape your skin. Well, our pores aren't big enough for the heat to escape, right? So we'll get blisters and then they will pop after a couple days. The exact same thing happens on our roof.
With
We
the
have
heat.
all of this heat, the hot air
Texas heat.
inside of our
Thanks, Texas.
attics, and whenever we don't have proper ventilation, it will truly undercut the lifespan of your roof anywhere from 40 to 80%.
Oh, my.
And when it's 110 degrees outside for 30 days in a row, 80 days in a row.
And I'm assuming, again, getting a roofer out here to do an inspection, making sure you have proper ventilation would
Absolutely.
be a great route to take.
Absolutely. And don't let an insulation company come in and blow insulation all over your soffit vents and close them up. And there's a lot of people wanting to do good. They just don't have the information and the knowledge to truly serve.
Kind of backfire a little bit. Is there anything else the homeowner can do other than getting a roofer out every 6 months to kind of assess how their roof is doing? But is there anything that a homeowner can do to maintain and extend the life of the roof?
Yeah, I got some good questions. First and foremost, you got to be careful on a roof, right? So
Are you trying to avoid some claims here?
Trying to be Santa Claus
yeah,
for your
yeah,
kids.
don't be doing that. You just got to be safe, right? If your roof is like a 2-story and steep, please don't get on your roof. If it's a 1-story and you can walk it like a staircase, by all means, get up there in the fall, right? Blow off the leaves in your valleys, around your chimney.
Or get a landscaping company to come out and, right? Won't they do that as well? Just come blow the leaves? Maybe not.
They can. They can, but I have seen landscaping
They don't do
companies
it.
actually get up there and create damage because they don't know what they're doing.
Okay, so we're just going to X that out.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
Process.
So, it's kind of like stay in your lane, right? Like, you don't want another tradesman doing, like, you don't want roofers coming in and hanging drywall,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, painters do that. That kind of mentality.
So would you recommend, if you don't want to get on a ladder and go up yourself, would you recommend hiring a roofer to come out and
Do they
clean
do
out
that?
the gutters? Like, do you guys do stuff like that?
Absolutely.
Little repairs?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So we actually have a roof maintenance program that we will come out and we will actually seal all your fasteners because the idea is to be out there every 6 months, right? Seal all the fasteners because if a nail head is exposed, it will rust out. That's where leaks are going to happen,
yeah.
right? If you have leaves in your valley or behind your chimney or your sidewall or anything like that, it creates a dam. Well, what happens whenever water gets dammed up? It's going to go to the least resistant. So we actually want on roofs, right?
Yeah.
And, we charge a very small fee for that.
Yeah.
And just say, hey, we'll come, we'll make sure that you are 100% taken care of. Here's a little tip during Christmas. Right? You can actually get your Christmas light installers to hop up there because truly there's a lot of roofers that do Christmas lights. We don't do it because we are very niche. We're going to get very good at what we're really good at.
Yeah.
Right? So I don't want to go and chase other things.
Yeah.
I want to serve my target market.
Right.
Yeah. But there are a lot of roofers that do Christmas lights. They are experts. They can get up there, and they can.
Cool, like a 2
they
for
can
one.
take care of
Yeah,
it.
2 for 1.
Let's do
Absolutely.
this.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Is there anything else? What about gutters? Does that affect the life of your roof, or is that more for
Foundation.
It's foundation and fascia,
Yeah.
right? So gutters are a part of the roofing system, but they're not, right?
they serve other aspects of your
Absolutely.
house, like
Drainage and stuff like that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's a
Well,
good question.
before we wrap up, I just want to hear from you. Is there anything that we didn't cover? Anything that you want to touch on that we haven't talked about yet? Because
Yeah.
we don't know all the questions to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for y'all example, in the real estate industry, you are doing a transaction, selling a home, buying a home, right? And I have seen time and time again, whenever somebody buys a house, 7 years will go by and then they need a new roof. Well, the problem is that they don't know how old the roof is,
Right.
right? Next thing you know, they're finding out that the roof is 15 years old or even 20 years old. It used to not be a problem. Today's day and age, it is a problem because these insurance carriers are actually putting in policies. And again, I'm not a public adjuster, but this is what I'm saying. What I'm seeing is that if a roof is over 15 years old, you don't get your depreciation back, right?
Right.
So that means that they're going to cut you a check. You got to pay your deductible, And just like you drive a brand new car off the car lot, it depreciates.
Right.
Same thing as your roof,
Yeah.
right? And everything else on your property. Yeah. So we talked about the $20,000 cost of a job, right? So instead of paying your $4,000 deductible, I have seen time and time again homeowners be stuck with a $12,000 bill. And that is not a win for the homeowner.
Yeah.
So you really want to know the age of the roof.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Get all the documents, right? Just like you would if you bought a car, right?
Right.
You want that Carfax report. It's the same thing with a roof. Get the contract.
Yeah.
Know what type of shingle is on top of that roof. Because if that shingle's discontinued and you have proof about it and wind comes through, blows off one shingle, well, you can't repair it per building code. So the insurance company has to buy you another roof.
Right.
Wow. So it's not only just cosmetic at that point, but building code won't allow
Yeah.
a
Correct.
replacement. Okay.
Building code will not allow it because the manufacturer won't allow it because the granules change, the dimensions change.
It's the same thing with HVAC units. They changed out the coolants, and it's like this one got discontinued, and now all of a sudden you need a whole new unit because you quite literally can't refill what you used to be able to refill it with.
That's right.
Yeah. It's
That's
crazy.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
It's a whole can of worms once you can get
Can
into
of
it.
worms. Peeling back the onion.
Right? Yep.
All the
my
layers.
So is there anything else that you feel like we need to know?
One big thing that I get all the time is, hey, will you give me a free estimate? I cannot stress this enough. You don't want an estimate from a roofer. If you're dealing with the insurance company, if a roofer comes out and says this roof is going to cost $15,000, $50,000, whatever it is, right? It's locked. It's locked in. So what happens whenever we tear off the shingles and there's 3 layers of felt?
Right.
Or there's flashing that we didn't know about, valley metal.
And they'll just put another layer on top instead of ripping off the original one. So there's an extra. Yeah, that's.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you don't know that process until.
But that's
right.
an actual issue.
100%.
When
So
you're-
off
yeah.
camera, we were talking about how back in the day you could waive deductibles. You can't do that in Texas. Well, one way that they did that was they didn't remove the felt. So if the insurance company paid $1,500 to remove felt, a lot of
So
roofers,
they were able to pocket it and
they just moved that money over.
Yeah.
Right? Well, there's an actual law that says you can't do that anymore.
Right. They changed that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
an assessment is what you would want then
absolutely.
in that situation. How does that differ? Like what is that looking like?
Yeah, because there's not really a price on it. It's a
Okay.
pre-construction assessment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Because we're not Superman. Like we
Yeah,
don't
can't-
have X-ray vision,
Can't
right?
Look into walls.
Absolutely. Like everything is hypothetical at this point.
Yeah.
And we're just saying, hey, here's the measurements. We work off the same software as the insurance companies. Did y'all know that?
Yeah. No, I did not.
It's called Xactimate. Okay.
Okay.
And it's a fairly expensive software that we have to purchase every year. And it's just a license for 1 year, and each user has to have it. So, like, we can't have a master one. Like, everybody in the company has to have it. That's
Yeah.
how they get you.
Wow.
Yeah. But we don't make the price. Neither does the insurance carrier. The problem is that the insurance adjusters, they're experts in policy. We're the experts on the roof and construction.
Yeah.
So we actually know everything that needs to be done, the labor items that need to be put in,
Right.
the actual materials, all that, and we plug that stuff in, and that's where you see that difference in between your roofer's assessment and your adjuster report.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So
Right.
you don't want to ask for an estimate.
Never
But
ask
an
for an estimate.
assessment.
An assessment.
You want an assessment,
Yeah.
and that assessment's going to basically be like, hey, can I get this roof another 5 years?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or do I need to do something right now?
Right now. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty much, as a homeowner, that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Because we kind of hit on this, but if you were going through the insurance company, like, what's your price of a new roof? It's just your deductible,
Yeah.
Right.
right?
And you just want to know what you're getting yourself into. You know, I tell
Yeah.
people if you know down the road you're going to need to get a new roof, in the next 5 years, you can start saving for that, right? You can start
100%.
saving for your
Opposed to being
deductible.
hit at one time.
Right. So it's like, okay, the seller's not going to put on a brand new roof for you. It is insurable. It's old. It's year 8, right?
That's right.
So in 7 years or however, and that's another question. How long is the life of a roof in the state of Texas?
Yeah,
Can you give
yeah,
a rough-
absolutely. So your 30-year laminated shingle, which is your average roof being installed today, right? The manufacturer is going to say 30 years.
No way.
In North Texas, you're talking 7 to 12.
Yeah, that's about right.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you're having an impact-resistant shingle, 15 to 20.
Okay. Okay. Good to know.
Nice. Before we wrap up, we always love to hear stories, horror stories, Hunger Games and roofing.
Right?
We say horror stories, but it's also like maybe something that was avoided but could have been really bad.
Right.
But like, do you have any like just crazy? I'm sure you've seen some crazy
Gosh,
things.
how much time do we have? Horror stories. There was a lady, right over in Hearst that we tore off their roof, and unfortunately, they had 7 layers of felt.
7?
7.
I'm
They-
assuming that doesn't
Like
help
a
with
bean
ventilation
dip.
either.
7
Not
layers.
at all. Not at all.
Like a bean dip.
Yeah.
We're hungry on this podcast right now. We were talking about cake earlier, onions, bean dip. Here we
I
go.
had 1 egg earlier.
It's my protein
Okay,
shake.
7
so.
layers of felt.
7 layers of felt.
So what did that do to? I mean, what? Yes, finish.
Basically rotted out the decking.
Oh, the decking.
Yes. Well, the insurance companies don't pay for rot, right?
And you already took it off.
We already
so
took it
you,
off.
You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube,
Can't do it.
Like
We
Not
can
at all.
certainly try.
Yeah. But then it goes back on building codes,
oh,
Yeah.
no.
right?
So what did they do? What happened?
Well, we had a lot of rot all over the place. But what was really cool in this instance is that they had space decking,
Okay.
so it was an inside building code. So I was able to reach out to the city of Hearst and get the building official to go out there, and we took all the documents,
Okay.
right? We took all the photos, called the adjuster, hey, I'm shooting you an email right now. I need approval today.
Yeah.
We have rain coming in the next 24 hours.
then the roof
Right?
is
It was a nightmare.
That is so stressful.
Right?
How do you do that with your anxiety levels? I've been like,
Yeah.
oh.
Yeah, well, that's a great thing about being a roofer is that we're always on our toes. I have just recently gotten a schedule, and I never stick to it because
Because you can't.
I can't.
Because you have things like the weather affecting
Absolutely.
every single day of your
Absolutely.
life. Yeah.
So, anyways, back to this job. 7 layers of felt, everything's rotted, but it's space decking. So we were actually able to serve our homeowner and show that it was out of building code, and we saved her $32,000.
$32,000. Wow. That's a lot of money.
All
That's a down payment on a house.
That's right. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes, it is.
Maybe 2. Depends on
My version would have just been like, start the house on fire.
Yeah, right. We're done with this. Wow,
Right.
that is a horror story. Oh my
Yes.
goodness. Thanks for sharing. I'm glad you were able.
Yes.
That's why you need
It's
someone
a
so
horror
knowledgeable.
story with a phenomenal recovery,
yeah.
though.
Absolutely.
That's a beautiful
$32,000
ending
saved.
for that homeowner.
Yeah,
And you got it done in time.
That's right.
Before the rain came.
that's right. We got
Man.
it taken care of with about an hour and a half. We got approval.
Not all heroes wear capes,
Right? we went all the way up to the supervisor. Thankfully, the homeowner was involved. Anytime a homeowner is involved, it goes a lot smoother. Because again, we're just dumb roofers,
Yeah.
right? We don't know what we're
No, you're
doing.
not dumb.
We're just trying to grab money. That's what the insurance carriers think. No, what we're trying to do is we're trying to protect both the insurance carrier so that they don't have to keep replacing roofs every 5 to 10
Yeah.
years, right? But we're also protecting the homeowner because your roof is your number one defense from the weather.
Yeah.
And the home.
Absolutely.
You're quite literally protecting the home.
100% because you got your foundation
Yeah.
and then your roof and everything else is cosmetic.
Yeah.
Like I am honored to be a roofer because I get to protect people. Like it is, I'm passionate about it. It gives me joy. It gives me significance. I love whenever a homeowner is literally crying to me saying, I don't know what I'm going to do. And I say, you don't worry about it.
Yeah.
We'll take
Figure
care
this
of it.
out. Yeah.
Right.
That's amazing.
Oh, that's so much.
Yeah. Well,
Thanks
thank you.
for being with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Answering
Thanks
all the
for having me.
questions. So educational. I learned a lot.
I feel like next time we need you with like slides showing felt.
No,
Right?
100%. Next time I need you to bring your little baggie.
Oh, absolutely.
The roof in a bag.
Yeah.
We'll take it all out.
We'll go through the
would-
whole thing.
I would love that because I'm sure we'll have
Yeah.
so many other questions. But if anybody does want to reach out to you to get an assessment on their
Want an
roof,
estimate.
or maybe
Yes.
they need a new roof and they already know that, how's the best way to contact
Yeah,
you?
so the easiest way is just give me a call. 817-475-6882. Okay?
Out there.
It just rolled off your tongue.
Yeah.
We'll have it in the notes too.
Yes,
Don't worry. You didn't have to.
100%.
You don't have to rewind
You
that.
can also email us at brian@hammerheadroof.com.
With an I or a Y. That's
I.
important.
I am not a
that's
hot dog.
important. Oh.
Yeah, because you know the Brian hot dogs, right?
No.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Around the food again.
It's lunchtime.
Oh my god.
That destroyed me. Okay, Brian with an A.
with an
I
eye.
am not a hot dog.
Brian with an I.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So email, cell phone.
You can email, you can reach us out on the website, fill out a little form. Facebook is great. Anywhere and everywhere. That's where we are.
Awesome.
Amazing. Thank you so much for today.
Thank you so
y'all.
much, Brian with an I.
Yes.
We appreciate you.
Appreciate y'all.
Have a
Thank
great
y'all.
day.
You too.